Today we're talking about the future of craft beer and will there be a craft beer bubble burst that everyone keeps talking about. Let's talk about three different size breweries that we're going to kind of discuss here. One will be the big breweries, the ones that are nationwide. Talk about craft breweries, of course, not like your Bud Lights or whatever, but just the full nationwide craft breweries that are completely distributed across all the states. Then there's your regional breweries that are your one, two, three, or four state powerhouses, right? They're just in one little area. They dominate a couple different states, most likely, sometimes even just one state, and those are your regional breweries. And then from there's probably some more in the middle somewhere, but then after that is your nanos and brew pubs. Technically, a nano brewery would be anything between or below 3 barrels or so is what's defined by the government, but I don't care what they think. It's that's your nano breweries and then brew pubs. I'll put that in the same category, and you'll see why. Then we'll talk about will there be a bubble burst or not. So for big breweries that are distributing across the entire country, those are going to stay mostly strong. They'll keep their footprint strong, and there's certainly some of those that are going to fail. The ones that are doing well will not necessarily be safe because there's so many other competition pieces out there. And when you have a bigger arm like that, you have just one little kick in the table on your legs can make you lose your feet and you can fail. You still have a lot of chances to grow from those sizes, but there's still a lot more that can fail and happen in that regard. But if you think about bigger breweries that reach all the states as well, that could easily fail. Maybe they sold out to someone and they're no longer an American company or something. Those guys have just as easy a chance to fail as well. A lot of those fans are abandoning their fanship with certain breweries that have sold out. Not to mention, usually quality goes down in those circumstances, and those ones might start to fail too because they're so big. Their bottom line is based on selling a certain amount of beer. If that starts going down and down and down, they're going to fail, or at least with the reduced size or something like that. That will come to see. The hardest side for the craft beer bubble will be for the regional breweries. I said the powerhouses, the 1, 2, 3, 4 state-ish breweries. There's been a recent acquisition from Roke Brewing in Royal Oak, Michigan, and bought Dark Horse in Marshall, Michigan. And since then, there's been some backlash on that. I'd love to talk to Aaron Morse about this and see kind of what happened and what made them go through with this decision. I'm sure it wasn't easy. I know it was probably a financial thing. I think was what a lot of people have said and heard. But those are the brewers that are going to struggle the most. The ones that had a decent sized footprint but couldn't fight with the big guys and weren't popular enough to be strong enough on their outskirts of their circle for their footprint on the shelves and the tap rooms. Tap rooms may be different, but the shelves have been probably struggling for certain areas. I think that is your biggest piece that's going to hurt the most in the craft beer world is your regional ones because they're not big enough or you can afford to have some lost accounts where if they lose a few bars, all of a sudden they're hurting or something, right? And then it trickles down from there. A lot of those don't have the capital either to be able to fulfill certain orders or grow fast enough to compete with those bigger ones that are completely nationwide. And then what you're going to see too is, as time goes on, are your more of your nanos and brew pubs popping up. I wouldn't say as much as like restaurants in some towns, but I would say just about as much as one per town or so, depending on the size of town, of course. Your bigger 70 to 100,000 person towns, you're going to have maybe 2 or something, or 3, but you're going to see a lot more of those popping up and not growing a lot from there. But it could still have the potential to be $1 million business, but they're just not going to grow a whole lot, at least for a while. And I would caution them not to grow into a powerhouse, but you have to watch out for that middle ground between getting too close to that powerhouse one state, two state region where those outside of the outer edge of your circle where you're distributing is going to be weak, to say the least, because you never know how easily that piece can crumble. Everyone keeps talking on since probably 2015, 2016. There's going to be this big bubble burst. I don't think there's going to be a big bubble burst. It won't blow up in everyone's faces. It won't be like the 2008 financial crisis sort of thing. It's going to be those regional ones have the most hurt. And I think the bigger ones that are nationwide are going to have are going to shoot themselves in the foot by if they get bought out by some bigger brewery just to have that bigger distribution channel. 9 times out of 10, quality goes downhill. Look at Goose Island. They sold out. A lot of their mainstay beers were pretty crappy, to be honest. The only thing that stayed good is BCBS, and that even probably went downhill a little bit because they made so big. It wasn't as special in those smaller batches. You can tell it was different. Then those big brewers, though, they have to be careful of what they're distributing out there. Your larger specialty releases, people get mad if it's not hitting their town. It's all over social media, so it's not like it's a big secret, but you have to be careful where that's going to go. But you still have to make your locals happy. I know like Bell's in Kalamazoo, they'll do special releases in their Eccentric Cafe where everything started. And if you go there, you can try those special beers. It's great. But some of those are small batch, and they know that it needs to stay in small batches without ruining the integrity of that great recipe. If you make it too big and distribute nationwide, all of a sudden it's not as good. After that, I think that'll be the next 5 to 10 years of where the beer industry is going to go. I'm really hoping that the nano and brew pub piece moves up more and more, so that way, like, you could literally be on a trip across the country and almost never hit all of them because there's just so many, and just little ones though. Just like every town has a special bar or something like that. This could be like the replacement or future of that. But as far as like other than like festivals, I don't think there's going to be any more giant ones growing into a powerhouse that's nationwide for a while because it's all kind of floating back and settling down. Time will tell, but I believe from all the data I've seen and went through, that's what's going to happen. If you like beer, subscribe and listen to some more. After that, cheers.